Hey, welcome back to my channel. So today we are talking about interlocking. So I am a beginner interlocker. There is so much more that I'm sure I have to learn, but I think that's an advantage here. I'm going to come to you beginner to beginner and share some tips that I've learned that have started to help me. Things that I wish I knew before I started interlocking and even before I got locks, honestly. So let's just get right into it. The first tip that I have for beginner interlockers is that mirrors are not going to save you. So before I started interlocking and I was doing my research, I was wondering, how am I going to see the back of my head? Okay, like that's a lot of intricate work going on back there. I know I can't see it. Let me try to figure out a mirror situation that will help me see clearly. So I went and got myself a little mirror that clips onto my door, and it helps me see my big mirror or my medium mirror. And that's still not enough. I had to get over trying to see my hair and be able to feel it. So you really need to be able to feel each individual lock, which leads me to something that I wish I had known before I got locks. So if your locks are so small that they feel like loose curls, it's going to be pretty difficult to feel your individual locks and enough to be able to know what you're doing back there by feel. That kind of leads me to my next tip. When you're feeling around back there, the main danger is interlocking your locks together. So you do not want to skimp on the clips. So as you can see back here, I have got a 3-clip setup. I've got clips to kind of generally pull back the locks I've already interlocked. I've got a clip to pull taut the locks that are closest to the lock I'm working on from the bottom, and then one to do the same thing from the top. That way, the lock that I'm working on is completely isolated, and there shouldn't be any stray hairs super easily in the vicinity to be snagged up by my crochet or my yarn needle. I use a yarn needle. We're getting to that. So do not skimp on the clips, okay? I know it may seem like it's a lot of work to clip and unclip for every lock, but as a beginner, trust me, it's worth it. All right, moving on. You do not need any fancy tools. So I got a tool that was, a little bit more pricey to interlock my hair, and it was really nice as far as having a hole that was really easy to get the locks into. And I know the curved style or model of tool works really well for some people, but it actually didn't end up working that well for me. So what I use is just a plastic yarn needle. This is a 7cm plastic yarn needle, super simple, like arts and crafts section tool. I got maybe 10 of these for $7. It came in a pack of like longer ones as well and some metal ones just because I wasn't sure what I wanted to use. But the smaller 7cm plastic one is the one that I have been using. What I like about this is because it's straight, I can really anticipate its like movement and route. With the curved one, I had a harder time controlling it, but with the straight one, I know where it's going in a straight line. I can feel it, and I don't need to see it because a straight line is very easy to anticipate the movement of. So when I'm working in the back of my head, that's extremely important. I also was a little concerned about this hole and would I be able to get my lock into it, which again was one of the advantages of the fancier tool. But I have a method of getting the hair into the eye of the needle that I'll show you when I demonstrate the interlocking process. The fourth tip that I have for beginner interlockers is take breaks. This may seem like common knowledge, but when you're researching and you hear about people's time they take to do their interlocking, they finish in 4 hours, they finish in 6 hours, however long it takes, I had kind of assumed that they're doing it all at once, maybe with a break here or there, but pretty much back to back. My arms are not used to that. I had short hair for a while. My hair is just, has just been getting longer. But last year I cut it all off for the most part. I had like an inch left. You can see that in another video if you're interested in that. But basically I haven't had to do a whole lot of hair stuff. So my arms are not used to this anymore. So I needed to take breaks. Just to put this into perspective, I did maybe 5 locks yesterday for interlocking, and then I was like, I'm done. Part of that was because since I was learning and experimenting with what worked for me, I, took more time to get 5 locks done. But that's okay. If your arms are hurting, stop. Don't push through it because you're not going to be as accurate if your arms are tired. So if you need to do 10 locks tonight, 10 locks the next night, 5 before you get ready for bed, whatever works, take breaks for your arms. And then the 5th tip that I have is a little bit more complicated, but it's basically how you angle your tool. So I've definitely heard people say that you don't want to interlock to the base of your lock, and that is true. But also, you want to make sure when you're starting that you don't start at the base of your lock. So a lot of times I would see people insert their needle and then pull it up to as far as you can go. That's good. Do that. I do that. But I also wanted to clarify that you want to start as high up in the lock as you can in the new growth, instead of trying to start from all the way at the base and then pull up. Because at the base is where the other lock bases are. And that's where the loose hairs are. And that's where the trouble is. So you want to start up as high as you can in the lock, in the new growth, before pulling your tool up. You also want to make sure your tool is angled up and not down towards your scalp. Because again, that's where the loose hairs are. That was not as complicated to explain as I thought it would be. So those are basically my 5 tips for beginner interlockers. I'm just gonna go ahead and demonstrate. I use the 3-point rotation, and I do that because I don't want my locks to be too skinny, and I also think that it'll still be very secure. So people use different interlocking rotations for different reasons, and I just felt like 3 was right in the middle, and that's what I was going to go with, and that has ended up being the most natural for me personally. So let's go ahead. So step 1, make sure all of your locks are pulled out of the way. So I've already done here, start off with. Kind of the big step 1 was separating my hair however you want it in big sections. After you've got that separated, you want to pull down your next lock. And then you want to make sure that the locks right above it are pulled away and clipped away from the lock, and the locks below it are pulled away and clipped away from the lock. I'm not interlocking on dry hair, but it's also not wet. I sprayed a little bit of distilled water over my hair. It's actually kind of drying out a little bit, so I'll give it one more teeny spritz. You don't want it to be all the way wet because your hair is more pliable, and so you don't want that as it dries for it to dry and have more tension as it shrinks into the interlocking. So now, how to get it into the tool. I'm gonna fold it over like this, which just kind of gives it a little bit more strength and body, so it's not flopping around when I try to get it into the needle. Then I pull the needle up. All right, so because my locks were combined, the roots kind of have like a little bit of space in between the 2 smaller locks that were combined into one, and they're now like a little bit longer than they are wide. So I like to start my interlocking, at least for this first time, going against that space. So I'm gonna go up to start with. So I'm gonna start up as high as I can on the lock, so you see the lock there. Just start right here. So that way there's no chance of me interlocking any of the other locks. Pull up as far as I can, pull it through. Now I'm going to the side. As you can see, I'm angling my tool up, pull it through. I'm going to go down, still angling my tool up towards my finger, pull up as high as I can, pull it through. This one's being a little difficult. Come on. There we go. And then to the side again. Angling my tool up. Pull through. and then up again. That actually feels pretty tight. I have maybe enough room to do one more pass. Okay, so I'm gonna go at a diagonal because I want it to kind of end down, but I can't go back through the exact same hole that I just went through. So I'm gonna go at a diagonal, as you can see, and then pull through. And that's the last one. I don't want to make it any tighter than that. All right. And that's my 3-point rotation. The diagonal tip is really, really handy. I learned that from watching Naturally Motivated Lady. I will try to find her video and put it in the description. The direction you end in is the direction your lock will lie. I've heard lots of people talk about that aspect of it, but I'm pretty sure it was from Naturally Motivated Lady that I heard the tip about going at a diagonal. So instead of having to end going up and then my lock is, you know, sticking up, I just go at a diagonal. And then even though it's not down, it's down enough that it's not gonna start sticking up and looking strange. So it's about 1 a.m. in the morning now. I am almost done with the first half of my hair, and I wanted to show you what the interlocking, the 3-point rotation looks like on the front of my head, just because I think it'll be easier to see. There's not too much new growth or anything, it's just securing the bases at this point. So just clip that down. I'm gonna go up, pull it through. I'm gonna go back, which is basically like the side of the lock. Pull that through. Then I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna go back again, so that's the side. So I'm doing 3-point rotation. This is feeling pretty secure, so I'm actually just gonna turn it into a 2-point now and end going down so that I don't tighten it too much. I have finished 1/2 of my interlocking, and I wanted to show you what it looks like. So you can see it's a lot more defined at the roots. There's a couple of them in the middle there, going kind of in this area, that were still secure from when I combined them, so I didn't feel like putting more tension on them just because there wasn't really a whole lot of new growth to interlock. So I just left those alone, but those are just a couple. So this is the finished product. Well, okay, it's half finished, but if I turn this way, it looks like it did the whole thing. So I'm not gonna come back on and do another update of this half because it's gonna be more of the same. Okay, I couldn't resist the fresh retwist. Everything's locked in, so it feels, well, it's not locked, but it's interlocked at the roots. So it feels more permanent. It feels like I am legit doing this. Like, feels like a milestone. It is, and I'm just really happy how it turned out. Took me 6 hours to do the first half because I was A, learning, and B, filming. And then it took me about 4.5 hours to do the second half because I was A, better at it, and B, minding my business and doing the interlocking. So this is pretty much it. And I'm gonna stop tossing my head and being extra now. This is it. This is really the end of this video. Goodbye. For now.